I'm regional media film critic Sean Patrick with a review of Free State of Jones, starring Matthew McConaughey and Gugu and Mbatha.
Mr. Moses, what are you?
Free man, Captain.
Why's that?
Because you cannot own a child of God.
No, you cannot, can you? You can own a horse, you can own a mule, or a cow, or an ox, but you cannot own a child of God.
Free State of Jones tells the true story of a man named Newton Knight, here played by Matthew McConaughey, who witnessed the horrors of the Civil War firsthand on the battlefield and decided to walk away. When he does, he returns home to Jones County, Mississippi, where he finds corrupt Southern tax officials robbing everyone blind, taking 90% of their assets to take for the war effort. He decides that this isn't fair and decides to fight back, and in fighting back, he recruits other deserters as the war continues to go against the South, and eventually builds up quite a regiment that's able to take over the entirety of Jones County and create a free state. It's a story worth telling, but as told by director Gary Ross, it's a very perfunctory telling of this story. Nothing much that you don't know from history books or you can't find from history books. Newton Knight is a good character, and certainly a character from this part of history who deserves to have his story told, but this story doesn't really have much of emotional drive, or at least it doesn't as told here. There's a framing device that takes the film about 85 years into the future, and that framing device doesn't really underline anything, and it causes a lot of problems with the tone of the film, which continues to be not overly interrupted, but certainly slowed down a great deal. This movie goes very, very slow, about 2 hours and 20 minutes, and you could cut at least 30, 45 minutes out of this movie. I kind of spent a lot of Free State of Jones picking out pieces of the movie like, yeah, that's good, but that didn't need to be there. You could cut this piece, and the movie would flow a little bit better. It's a worthy story. It's not a bad movie by any stretch. Matthew McConaughey is quite good. Really, the entire cast. Gugu and Mbatha, who plays a slave he falls in love with, is very good in the movie. But the movie has a lot of good intentions, too. But overall, it's just a movie that has a lot of very simplistic storytelling devices, very familiar storytelling devices. There's nothing really new brought to this telling of this story. We witnessed basically all the typical horrors of the Civil War era and the post-Civil War era even. And the movie doesn't really have the kind of a visceral emotionality of a movie like 12 Years a Slave or Glory. They just doesn't have that quite a resonance to it. And that comes from the very perfunctory, professional, but forgettable direction of Gary Ross. There's nothing wrong with Free State of Jones. It's an okay movie. It's not a great movie. I'm Sean Patrick.